My dear child, there is a message pressing against the walls of silence right now, a message that has been waiting for the perfect moment to reach you. Whether you realize it or not, your soulmate is trying harder than ever to contact you. The strange part is that this effort may not always appear in obvious ways. You may be expecting a phone call, a text message, or a direct confession, but soul connections often begin communicating long before words are spoken, before hands type messages, before voices speak truths. Before circumstances align, there is an invisible exchange taking place, and at this very moment, that invisible exchange is growing stronger. Your soulmate has reached a point where keeping their feelings hidden has become exhausting. For a long time, they convinced themselves that remaining silent was the safest choice. They told themselves they needed more time, more certainty, more confidence. They believed that if they waited long enough, the emotions they carried for you would settle into the background. But the opposite has happened. Instead of fading, their feelings have become louder. Instead of disappearing, they have become impossible to ignore. Every day that passes seems to bring another reminder of you into their life. Every attempt to focus elsewhere somehow circles back to thoughts of you. What they may not realize is that their soul has already started reaching out. Have you experienced unusual moments lately? Have you suddenly thought about someone for no clear reason? Have memories appeared out of nowhere when you were focused on something completely different? Have you felt a strange pull, a sense that someone is thinking about you even when there is no evidence to support it? These moments may seem random, but sometimes they are the first signs that an important connection is trying to bridge the distance. Your soulmate is carrying words they desperately want to say, words they have rehearsed countless times in their mind, words that often arrive during quiet nights when the world is asleep and distractions disappear. They imagine conversations with you. They imagine explaining everything they have been feeling. They imagine telling you about the fears that held them back, the doubts that confused them, and the emotions they struggled to understand. Yet every time they consider reaching out, uncertainty appears. What if you no longer care? What if too much time has passed? What if their message arrives at the wrong moment? These questions create hesitation, but they do not erase the desire to connect. In fact, the desire is becoming stronger. Your soulmate has reached a stage where silence no longer feels comfortable. There was a time when avoiding their feelings seemed easier than confronting them. But now avoidance requires more energy than honesty. Every day they remain silent, they feel the weight of unfinished emotions. Every day they avoid reaching out, they wonder what could happen if they simply took the risk. This internal conflict is pushing them closer to action than ever before. My dear child, there is something else happening behind the scenes. Your soulmate is beginning to recognize how deeply your presence has influenced their life. They are noticing that many of their recent reflections lead back to you, lessons they have learned, changes they have experienced, personal growth they have achieved. Somehow your connection appears woven into all of it. This realization has surprised them because they never expected one person to leave such a lasting impact. They thought time would create distance. Instead, time has revealed significance. There are moments when they open old conversations, revisit old memories, or find themselves lingering on details they once overlooked. A message, a shared experience, a simple interaction. Things that seemed ordinary at the time now carry new meaning. Through reflection, they are seeing the connection from a different perspective. They are understanding things they could not understand before, and the more clarity they gain, the stronger their desire becomes to reconnect. Yet fear still stands in the doorway. Fear of rejection, fear of vulnerability, fear of discovering that circumstances have changed too much. Your soulmate is wrestling with these fears every day. But here is what they are slowly learning. Fear cannot provide peace. Avoidance cannot provide answers. Only honesty can do that, and honesty is calling them louder than ever. You may not see the struggle taking place within them. You may not know how many times they have considered reaching out. You may not know how many conversations they have imagined. You may not realize how often your name crosses their mind. But these things are happening. The emotional distance they once believed they could maintain is becoming increasingly difficult to sustain. My dear child, the title of this message carries more truth than you might think. Your soulmate is trying hard to contact you. Perhaps not always through direct actions yet, but through intention, thought, reflection, and emotional energy. They are moving toward a realization that feels inevitable. The realization that some connections deserve courage. The realization that unanswered questions are heavier than difficult conversations. The realization that the risk of reaching out may be far smaller than the regret of remaining silent. Every day brings them closer to this understanding. Every reflection strengthens their resolve. Every memory reminds them that what they feel has not disappeared. In fact, it has matured into something deeper, something more honest, something impossible to dismiss as a passing emotion. So remain open, my dear child. Remain open not only to messages that arrive through phones or screens, but also to the possibility that life is preparing a conversation you did not expect. Remain open to signs, opportunities, and moments that seem ordinary at first glance. Sometimes the biggest turning points begin quietly. Sometimes life changes through a simple message, a brief conversation, or a moment of courage that arrives after months of hesitation. Your soulmate is standing closer to that moment than they have ever been before. The words they have been holding back are growing heavier. The silence they have been maintaining is becoming harder to carry. And somewhere deep inside, they are beginning to understand that if they truly want answers, if they truly want clarity, if they truly want to know what this connection means, then they can no longer remain hidden forever. What happens next may arrive sooner than either of you expects, because the heart can only keep its truth locked away for so long before it finally demands to be heard. My dear child, the pressure inside your soulmate's heart is growing stronger with every passing day. What began as a quiet feeling has now become something far more difficult to contain. They wake up thinking about you. They carry your memory through ordinary moments. They find themselves wondering what you are doing, how you are feeling, and whether life has been kind to you. These thoughts are no longer occasional visitors. They have become a regular part of their inner world, and no matter how hard they try to focus on other things, your presence continues to return. The strange thing is that your soulmate never intended for things to reach this point. At first, they believed they could control their emotions. They thought they could simply place their feelings in a hidden corner of their heart and continue with life as normal. But emotions do not always obey commands. The feelings they tried to silence have only become louder. The connection they tried to explain away has only become more meaningful. And now they find themselves standing in a place where ignoring the truth feels harder than facing it. There have been several moments recently when they almost contacted you. Moments when they picked up their phone, stared at your name, and imagined what they would say. They thought about sending a simple message. They thought about asking how you have been. They thought about breaking the silence that has existed for far too long. Yet every time they came close, fear stepped in. Fear whispered that they might be misunderstood. Fear reminded them of past uncertainties. Fear suggested that remaining silent would be safer. But what your soulmate is beginning to understand is that silence has its own cost. Every day they choose not to reach out. Another day passes without answers. Another day passes without clarity. Another day passes wondering what could happen if they simply found the courage to speak honestly. This realization has started changing something inside them. Instead of protecting them, silence is beginning to feel like a burden. My dear child, there is another reason their desire to contact you has become so strong. They have started recognizing how much unfinished energy still exists between you. There are things left unsaid, questions left unanswered, emotions left unexplored. They can feel it whenever they think about you. A sense that the story never truly reached its conclusion. A feeling that an important conversation remains waiting somewhere in the future. This awareness follows them into unexpected moments. They may be working, driving, talking with friends, or handling everyday responsibilities, and suddenly your memory appears. Not because they are trying to think about you, but because something inside them continues pulling their attention back toward the connection. They are starting to see this as more than coincidence. They are beginning to wonder whether these constant reminders are trying to tell them something. At night, when the world becomes quiet, their thoughts often become impossible to escape. During these hours, honesty has a way of surfacing. Without distractions, they find themselves reflecting on everything that happened between you. They replay conversations. They revisit memories. They examine moments they once overlooked. And the more they reflect, the more they realize how much you truly meant to them. There is one particular thought that has been appearing again and again. It arrives when they least expect it, and each time it feels a little stronger. The thought is simple but powerful. What if I reach out? At first, this question felt impossible. Now it feels increasingly necessary. They are no longer asking whether they should contact you. They are starting to ask themselves how. What would they say after all this time? How would they explain the emotions they have been carrying? How would they tell you about the confusion, the fear, the growth, and the realizations that have shaped their journey? These questions fill their mind because the desire to communicate is becoming real. It is moving beyond imagination and slowly entering the realm of possibility. My dear child, your soulmate is also discovering something unexpected about themselves. They are learning that vulnerability is not weakness. For a long time, they believed protecting their emotions was the safest approach. They thought strength meant staying guarded. They thought courage meant hiding what they truly felt. But life has been teaching them a different lesson. True courage is honesty. True strength is authenticity. True growth happens when a person stops running from their feelings and starts listening to them. This lesson is changing them from the inside out, It is helping them see that reaching out is not about guaranteeing a specific outcome. It is about giving truth a chance to be heard. It is about allowing honesty to replace uncertainty. It is about choosing courage over regret. And regret is something they think about more often than they would ever admit. They wonder what would happen if they never contacted you. They imagine years passing while unanswered questions remain. They picture themselves always wondering what could have been. This possibility troubles them deeply because they know some opportunities do not come twice. That is why the emotional pressure continues building. Every memory, every reflection, every quiet moment adds another piece to the puzzle. The message they have been holding back is becoming heavier. The silence they have been maintaining is becoming harder to justify. The distance they created no longer feels as comfortable as it once did. My dear child, something important is approaching. Your soulmate may still be gathering courage. They may still be organizing their thoughts. They may still be wrestling with fear. But beneath all of that, a decision is slowly forming. A decision to stop hiding. A decision to stop wondering. A decision to finally move toward the conversation they have been imagining for so long. The heart can only carry unspoken truths for a limited time before it begins demanding expression. Your soulmate is reaching that point now. They are feeling the weight of everything left unsaid, and that weight is pushing them closer to action than ever before. The message they want to send has not yet been spoken, but it is already alive inside them. It grows stronger with every passing day, and soon, very soon, they may discover that the only way to find peace is to finally open the door they have kept closed and allow the truth to find its way to you.